there was some like interesting smells coming out of the fire pit. And I literally asked other people, like I was talking with some homies, I'm like, do you guys smell that? Like, what is that smell? They're like, yeah, it kind of smells like paint, like
Oh
paint fire.
shit.
I'm like, is this like bad for us? Like, what's going
It
on? Like,
gets
are
you
they just
high,
like
that's for
drugging
sure,
us?
bro. Like, if it smells
So
like paint,
yeah.
you know you're getting high off it.
I'm Yuki, joined by my co-host Reggie, and you're listening to Modern Day Hippie, the podcast about doing drugs in a responsible, fun, and safe way to improve your life. Before we jump into today's episode, a quick legal disclaimer. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Our goal is to educate and inform others about the realities of substance use in an engaging format. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to attempt to recreate anything found in this episode or any of our other content. We are not confessing to any acts stated in this podcast. The content in this episode should not be treated as factual or real in any way. Now, with that, we hope you enjoyed today's show.
What's up, hippies? Hope you're having an absolutely vibey day today. I'm joined here by Yuki. Yuki, what's been going on, man?
Yeah, man. I had honestly a pretty degenerate party weekend, and I have some thoughts. It was positive in honestly in all ways, to be honest. But my body's definitely feeling a little bit tired, and it's feeling the
Bro,
toll.
you are always partying, man. How do you do it? Like, when's the last weekend that you didn't do drugs and or party?
I mean, last 2 weekends were both intense. Before that, I was traveling internationally for like a week, so that was all travel, like no drugs, like I was chilling. And then 2 weekends ago, I went on this like big like annual boys trip with some friends, and that's just like a very wholesome trip. It's just like literally like 30 to 40 people in an Airbnb, just chilling, like I don't know, playing video games, board games, talking, doing some drugs, but nothing crazy. But we're just like, it's more just like staying up super late, just like shooting the shit and talking. And then that just takes a toll on you. And then I mostly caught up on sleep in the week. But then this past weekend was like the main music festival that happens in my city, that happens every year. And on one hand, I was wise in that I ended up like deciding not to go to the festival. And the reason being for this was because a few months ago, I went to the main festival in San Francisco, which is called Outside Lands. And to this festival, it was incredible in some ways, but it was super shitty in like another specific way. So for context, so Outside Lands happens every year in Golden Gate Park, which is the biggest park in SF. And it is like a beautiful venue for a festival. It's like this dense forest, and there's just like fog from the bay over the forest pretty much all day long. And like the vibe is awesome. Like you're in this clearing. But the drawback to it was just, I've never experienced a worse crowd in my life at a festival.
Damn, really?
Like literally, we were like towards the front of a big crowd at one of the main stages, and there were literally people like peeing on the ground behind us.
Jeez.
And peeking on the ground. And like, this is not my first rodeo at a music festival like this. And like, I have never seen or heard of anything like that. Like, it was absolutely disgusting. People were just like really drunk and just like annoying to be around. As you guys know, my vibe is just like being on drugs and not drunk. And like, I don't mind if people drink around me, but if you're just like heinously drunk and like making everyone else's problem around you, then I'm opposed to it. And I think it was just a bunch of like high schoolers who'd been shut in during COVID and were just, trying to like party and get the energy out. And that was frustrating. And then we saw like one of my favorite artists in the world, probably my favorite artist in the world, which is Odessa. And we had some friends who were with us seeing Odessa for the first time. We're hyping them up. And it was like, I think my 9th time seeing them. So I was as excited as always.
God damn, bro.
Dude, and literally these kids were like opening up mosh pits before what they thought would be a drop. But it's like, if you know Odessa, it's not really moshy music. It's just like, it's very good vibes. And like you're like waving to the music. It's not mosh pits. And it was just so goddamn annoying. And so that left like a bad taste in my mouth. And even though I know that my local festival is a lot more chill than that, like I've been 4 or 5 times, never had any issues like that, I just felt like, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it personally. And to be honest, I realized that the like energy and the people that this festival brings to my city spawns a lot of like periphery events. And so like every night there are parties and things to do. And I'm definitely more of like an after hours person now. Like the times when I like being out between like 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., which is also not great for my sleep schedule. But that's just like when the vibes that I like are out in full force. And so I was able to do that. And then, my partner and our friends would go to the festival during the day, and I would just sleep. And it was nice to just be at home and like be a piece of shit and sit on the couch and just watch TV. Like that was great. That was exactly what I needed. And then, they come home and I'm feeling ready to go. But I did go to the festival this last day on Sunday because my buddy got me a free wristband band.
I was like, there's no way you're not
Yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah.
Like your favorite artist is gonna be there type shit. Like
No, exactly. Yeah. And it was nice. Like we went like in the afternoon at like 4 o'clock. So it wasn't a super long day. And yeah, the headliner we saw that night was Odessa. I think it was 10th time officially seeing them. We saw them with a really good group. We all rolled together and dude, it was awesome. You know, like we all rolled like a decent amount. I don't think anyone was rolling super heavily, but like the vibes were just on point. We're all just like dancing, having a good time. A few people in our group, it was also their first time seeing Odessa. And then we got into the crowd like an hour and a half early, just get really close to the front, which we did. And you know, you just like talk to people in the crowd and like the people next to us, it was their first time. And I'm like, oh man, you guys are such a blast. Like what I wouldn't give to be able to see Odessa for the first time again, but also every time I see them, it's incredible. And honestly, like public service announcement, no matter what kind of music you're into, in my opinion, if you have the opportunity to go to an Odessa concert, just go to it. Like I think you'll enjoy it no matter what. The music is like very pleasant. It's not like super intense EDM. It's just very like kind of feel good and ethereal. And honestly, I think describing it as a concert like doesn't do it justice because it's like a full on production. Like they bring so much of their own equipment, their own light setups, their own video systems. They have a drum line. They have like sax players and guitar players. And
oh shit, like actual instruments?
yeah, yeah. It's honestly,
Damn.
it's more like a musical like play or like a performance. Like calling it a concert, it does not do it the justice that it deserves, in my opinion. And that's why there's such a big contingent of people who are like obsessed with Odessa, myself included. No, and it's funny I bring that up because on Friday night, I was out at the members club that I go to, and they have this big yurt, and I was just like ketamining super hard. And I was hanging out. I was catching up with actually a buddy who we had met at Burning Man, and he lives in my city, but he's just been so busy that we haven't hung out with. And one of the days I just text him and I'm like, Taylor, ! Send. Why have I not seen you since Burning Man? He's like, all right, fine. Like we'll hang out. And he's a chiller. And dude, literally we start hanging out at like this like members club. Like I brought him over. We get a little fucked up and we just like unleash this like Burning Man chaos like across this club. Like we're just talking it, we're hyping it up, and we're so in our like own conversation and on our own planet talking about this, like just having so much fun catching up and so much more to talk about because we're honestly like good homies at this point. Just like we're getting super animated and everyone around us is just, you can tell they're like curious what we're talking about, like why we're getting so excited. And we just like unleash this energy. We're like, like it was awesome. And at one point later in the night, we're like sitting in this like big yurt that they have in like the yard of this place. And we're talking with these like 3 or 4 ladies. And we start talking about Odessa. And we basically, it turns into like a dick measuring contest of who's seen Odessa the most times. Because we're all like big fans. We're like, oh, I've seen him 6 times. No, I've seen him 8. No, I've seen him 9. And that's a very like Odessa fan thing.
Nice. I could totally see that.
Yeah. It's just like no matter what vibe you want to be on, a good time. But especially recommend tripping and rolling. And I will say, so I did probably like a point and a half of Molly. Like I didn't want to roll super hard. And I did one of those, like the 2CB pills. They're like the pink PlayStations.
Oh, nice.
So that was the one that I took one of the nights at Burning Man, and it absolutely set me. Like that was the hardest I'd tripped in a long time, where like I feel like I'm in a simulation. I'll like put my hands out in front of me and look at them and feel like I'm in like Cyberpunk or GTA first person or something. And it's just like not real. And so I thought that feeling was from these 2CB pills. I took one of these pills at Odessa. I like didn't feel it at all. And I was half expecting it to hit me like when we were walking home after the festival. But yeah, it never did. But the roll was like nice. It was more of like an like emotional roll than like a really intense like body vibrating. I did have a little bit of that. So that was nice.
Dude, that's the thing with psychedelics. I feel like your tolerance can build so quickly to them. Like on a side note, I did shrooms last weekend and it was like on a boat party with like 100 people. It was pretty fun, honestly. But I'm not going to lie, man. I could barely even feel them like at all, like zero visuals. Like I kind of felt a little tingly, but like it was like not much. And I took just like one standard dose of like the chocolates that we take. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of sad, dude. Like my tolerance is that high. And I haven't even done shrooms since 420. So I don't know how my tolerance is that high.
No, yeah. I honestly, I don't think it's a tolerance thing. Like I think for that amount of shrooms, it can be somewhat contextual, just like whatever vibe you're in. Like sometimes I find that I have a harder time like feeling them as profoundly as different settings that I'm in. And honestly, with these 2CB pills, right? Like we've talked about how in the past, I've tried not these same pills, but other 2CB pills. and they never hit.
Oh, right. But they hit me like a train, the same pills. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly. And I'm like, what? It's just like a roll of the dice to see if they hit. And like to be fair, when I was tripping really hard on it, Burning Man, I was on probably a bunch of other things, but I don't remember because it all just blends together. Like it's like a soup mixture of just drugs.
Dude, speaking of Burning Man and Molly, did you ever do that Molly that you brought back from Burning Man that you said was like the best shit ever? Is that what you did at Odessa or
Not
no?
yet.
Oh, okay.
No, not yet, not yet. We bought like a ball of Molly from a friend, and it was solid. I will say. So yesterday was the day after, and I felt like pretty
Oh,
shitty.
so it wasn't like super clean, I guess.
I guess not. Yeah, but I mean, it was a positive experience. Now I'm feeling significantly better. But yeah, I actually need to get on the 5-HTP regimen now that it's been more than 24 hours after my roll.
The 5-HTP regimen?
Yeah, like you take 5-HTP, the supplement.
Oh, I didn't know
Which is a
about this.
precursor to serotonin production in your brain. And so it's like fairly common knowledge among just people who rave and just like roll a lot. But the big misconception is that you should take 5-HTP like before, during, and after your roll. But actually that can lead to a thing called serotonin syndrome where it actually like, fucks your brain up even more. And so what you're supposed to do is you need to wait 24 hours after your roll before you actually start taking 5-HTP. And then you just take like, one supplement a day for, I don't know, a couple of days afterwards.
Oh, shit.
I don't know exactly, but most people don't know that you do need to wait because if you don't, there's like a small chance of it like, kind of fucking you up.
Dude, where do you even get that stuff?
It's just like over the counter
Oh,
supplement,
okay.
like CVS, Walgreens, whatever. You're at the club and the music is thumping, but you've got nothing left in the tank. So what do? Sniff some cacao. Yup, you heard that right. Sniff some cacao. It's the hottest new trend in the club and party scene. One bum-sized sniff of raw chocolatey powder contains the caffeine equivalent to a half cup of coffee, and boom, it hits instantly. And the best part is you can now sniff cacao anytime, anywhere. Right out in the open, in front of the DJ booth or the stage, even at the VIP table with your friends. Now, how does that happen without drawing unwanted attention? Snogo's spring-loaded bump straws make it possible. These classy, triple mirror polished bump straws are the safest, most discreet way to enjoy sniffing cacao. In fact, you've most likely already seen people wearing Snogo's bump straws as pendants around their necks without even knowing it. Discover why sniffing cacao using Snogo bump straws is being called the biggest revolution in partying since the invention of rock and roll. Jump on over to snogostraws.com to learn more. That's SNOGOSTRAWS.com and use discount code MDH15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order. So aside from the music festival piece, so both Friday and Saturday night, I was doing my like late night thing. Friday night was mostly chilling and doing a lot of ketamine. Not a lot, but enough to feel something with this friend who I was talking about. We unleashed our Burning Man energy upon this members club that I go to. And then Saturday night was interesting because it was a bit of a clash of vibes in some way. And as I'm much more appreciating just the value of having people on the same page with things, it did unsettle me a little bit. So basically what happened was hosting like a pregame before a like concert / rave for the night of Saturday. So on one hand, we had like a few groups of people coming back from the music festival to our place to kind of like chill before going to the show. And then on the other hand, we had people who hadn't gone to the music festival who were coming there to pregame as well. And so we had like, I don't know, like 20 to 25 people over. So it was like quite a few, but people were on like different pages to an extent. So like music festival people were like pretty tired, needing to recharge. Since I hadn't been at the festival, I was like ready to go. I was like DJing, I was blasting music.
Nice.
And then I invited one friend who usually is super chill, but he just showed up like super drunk, like even to the pregame, and just like wasn't bringing the vibe. And I felt bad because he's usually a really nice guy, but I didn't really know how to handle the situation. And so I tried to keep him occupied with talking, just talking very loudly. And
oh, that kind of drunk.
Yeah. And being like friendly mostly, but like kind of aggressive with everyone. And then the festival people were literally just like trying to watch a movie to like decompress before the show. And yeah, that was a little bit tough. And then some of the people from pregame ended up going to this concert. There's this artist called Le Youth who does it's like chill EDM for the most part. But I was reading online before the show that he has this like complex about interacting with the crowd. And like he kind of just like gets off on it. And so he was barely DJing. Like he was kind of just pressing play on every song. And then he would go around and just like dap up the crowd and like take people's phones and film with them.
Oh, shit.
And like the music was pretty good, but it was like whatever. It's like, okay, dude, whatever. But while we were there, one of the guys who came was my buddy who was unfortunately extremely drunk. He ended up getting kicked out of of the
Oh
venue.
shit.
And I'm not totally sure what happened, but I think he had gone to the bar to get another drink. And I'm pretty sure the bartender like saw how fucked up he was and was like, you need to drink water and like wouldn't serve him alcohol. And I didn't know this was going on, but at that point he just kind of started walking back to our group. And the bartender was like coming with him because she was like, if you're not gonna drink water, like you need to leave. So they're kind of like arguing a little bit in front of me, but the music was loud, so I couldn't really hear. And then I like heard that she was like, yeah, you can either like leave quietly or like this is gonna be a problem. And I'm like, dude, like I'm sorry, like this is no one's fault but your own. And
Yeah,
it's
for
also
real.
like not the vibe here, unfortunately. I did feel bad though, and I called him afterwards and we talked about it, and it's all solid.
Is he doing all right?
Yeah. He's fine, and he recognized that he was drunk, which I appreciated. But it made me a little bit wary because that's like very far from the vibe that I want to be on these days and the vibe that I want to curate. And I'm trying to be more intentional with like curating vibes within groups, and it can be tough to do that.
Dude, it's
if
super
people, like,
tough,
aren't on
man.
the same page.
Yeah, it's super tough.
Yeah.
And also, like, I hate to say this, but I feel like everyone who goes to college learns pretty quickly that being drunk is no longer an excuse for anything. Like, it's no longer an excuse to, like, oh, sorry, I was drunk. Like, dude, no one cares. Like, you're still accountable for your actions, whether that be like hitting on a girl the wrong way or being too rowdy at a club. Like, it's still just not okay.
My theory on that is that a lot of people learn that in college and pick that up. And then I think some people like it takes different amounts of time. So I would say grow out of that, / like some people never do, or it just takes longer. And I think on my journey, like I grew out of that quickly, and then whatever, I had my whole thing with stopping alcohol and whatnot. But there's also like I think it gets to a point where I feel like now more of my friends are like, a lot of them still drink, but it's much more reasonable. Like honestly, I also realized like being around this friend, it was the first time I've been around someone this heinously drunk in like a long time. And it really made me like remember just like how annoying it is. Like drink, enjoy, like get a little tipsy, like that's fine. But when you're being super drunk and like just harshing everyone else's vibe, like I really like don't appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, there is a time and place for that, to be fair. There is a time and place to be heinously drunk, but it's just like not that place or time.
No. Yeah. And if everyone's on that vibe, then great. Like, great. I think I've become more pickier is the way to describe that. Yeah. But then, so we were at this rave with the rest of the group. Everyone else was vibing. It was great. We're there until almost 2. And then we went to the same like after hours members club place, and they were hosting this like boiler room-esque set where they have this like giant room that they don't usually use for parties because it's quite large and hard to fill. But this was a big party that they opened like outside of the members club, since it was also the weekend of this festival. And I got there at 2 and it was like empty, and I was already drugging a little bit. So I'm like, where is everyone? Like, this is like kind of lame. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, like 2 a.m. for this place is early. And like true to that point, closer to 3 a.m., it just got more and more full. And by 3 a.m., it was just like, it was packed and it was crazy. And I swear it was one of the nights at this club where I swear to God, they're like putting some drugs in the air. Like that's just like the sense you get. Like they have this thing where they'll burn like Palo Santo or, you know, these like nice smells that give like Tulumi vibes in the room. And they were spraying, I swear they were like pumping that smoke into this big room where like the DJ set was going on. And I took like a big bump of some Tusi and some ketamine. And like I got to a point where I was like, it was like a little bit too much. Like I was having a good time, but I could feel my heart beating a lot. I'm like, I need to step outside. Like I need some fresh air. And so I stepped outside. I got my fresh air. That was nice. And since it's gotten a little bit colder, they had these fire pits going. But also like there was some like interesting smells coming out of the fire pit. And I literally asked other people, like I was talking with some homies, I'm like, do you guys smell that? Like, what is that smell? They're like, yeah, it kind of smells like paint. Like,
oh,
paint
shit.
I'm like, is this like bad for us? Like, what's going on?
It gets
like,
you high, that's for sure, bro. Like, if it smells like paint, you know you're getting high off it. Like,
yeah. And like none of us were sober enough to, I think, know for sure. It might have just been some interesting like scented wood or something. But like it was just one of those nights where like everyone was just on some like animalistic vibe. And I listened to some music, but honestly, most of the night I just had just conversations with a few people. And it's kind of like doubled down the point that for me, I like, especially on ketamine, I feel like I have like conversations that, like stick with me even more so. Like they just feel very profound. And I found that my ideal one of these nights is like do a reasonably sized bump of ketamine at the beginning and then just ride that out. And like my favorite part of that is just like this afterglow moment where like you're still feeling it, but it's not like the direct ketamine, it's more the after effects. And I'm like perfectly capable of having good conversation, but I just feel more like thoughtful and more primed to like take in ideas. And I had one buddy who we haven't hung out a whole lot, but like we know that we really vibe. And I swear, I feel like our minds just like meshed because we were talking for like an hour. We're talking about like one of the the businesses that I'm working on. And he just like gets it. Like he works in a similar space and we just have like a very good conversation. I had a lot of takeaways and I walked away from that feeling like it had been like a super productive night. Like it was incredible. And like literally I felt like our like minds like had sex with
Oh
each
my
other.
God,
As weird as
chill,
that
bro.
sounds.
Oh, that's crazy.
No, but it was a vibe. It was a vibe. And then I discovered afterwards, like I went back into the big room where they were doing the like the EDM set and it was solid, but I was kind of feeling tired of EDM. And so the house where this club is, there's like a small room where usually there's music playing in there, but it's kind of more like a cool down hangout spot. And one of the guys who's usually a security guard there, who's just this like absolutely jacked dude, him and his homies were just like playing some like really chill rap and hip hop like in that room. And I walk in and like, I'm not like super into rap. I can like appreciate it, but I will rarely listen to it on my own. But I walked in and it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, I
Nice.
love EDM, but I definitely need a break from it sometimes. You just walk in, it's just some like Travis Scott playing and whatever. And I'm like, this is nice. And it was such a
That's
vibe.
the
Like they were just
vibe,
like
man.
smoking and drinking.
That's the
And
vibe. Just chill
it
hip hop.
was-
Like, that's my vibe, at
yeah.
least. I know we got slightly different vibes, but that's where I feel at home, bro.
No, and I heavily appreciate that. And especially in that moment, like seeing that contrast. And as I was kind of coming down off stuff, like that was the perfect place to just like chat with some more friends, meet some more people, just have a good time. And then I was there until I think 6:30 in the morning, which was fun. And I generally am pretty good about like obviously I know the night needs to end at some point, but I know if I do drugs, like the time between then and when I can go to sleep, especially if it's like ketamine or 2C, which is usually what I do in this setting, my time to like go to sleep comfortably is like probably 2 to 3 hours. And so I'm usually good about like cutting it off early enough and then just hanging out and talking to people until I'm like ready to go to sleep. And so I walked 10 minutes back home, which is super convenient. It was nice outside. It was like 60 degrees. Got home, fell asleep, and slept well enough.
There you go, man. And then you slept for 12 hours yesterday. So,
Yeah, which is necessary.
dude, you
And
can't
now it's
catch
like,
up that much on sleep, though. Like, that's a thing, man. Like, you can only catch up like a few hours on sleep by sleeping in on the weekends and stuff.
yeah, exactly. No, dude, and it's tough because I think before these last 2 weekends, my unintentional schedule was either Friday or Saturday night would be like a late night, and the other night would be more chill. But just the way these last 2 weekends have been, and because October is just like always a crazy month, like regardless.
Yeah, October's the worst or the best.
It's been like back-to-back nights and just a lot. And so that's why I'm like purposely like I recognize that I need a break. My body needs a break. And this coming weekend, I need to chill. Like I know that I'm on the same page with my partner about that, and that's good. And the one drawback was actually this weekend, a buddy of mine, we were supposed to go to the same amusement park that you and I went to.
Oh shit! No way.
And do psychedelics together because it's also Fright Fest, which is a
Yeah,
Halloween
come
thing.
through, man. I live like 10 minutes
No,
away.
dude, I know. I like, trust me. I like, we had this plan for a while and I forgot about it. You remind me this weekend, but I think I really just need to take some time, especially before my New York weekend that's coming up, which is also going to be Friday, Saturday night partying, and it's New York. So we'll inevitably be out until 6 a.m. at least. So I think for my own health, I need to do this.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I'm going to stand by that.
Dude, that's good. I'm not going this year either, even though I want to, because too busy, man.
Yeah, that's fair. I can respect that. And yeah, I've been having a ton of fun, but I'm looking forward to the holidays, obviously because it's the holidays, I get to see family and stuff. But for me, the holidays are also like the time when I take like an extended break from any drugs and I'm like completely sober for at least a month. And I think that's super, super important to do. Like if you're any recreational drug user, just taking like an extended break like that, I think once a year is a really good policy. That's been good so far. And I think this year will be a little bit rougher because for the first time, I'm throwing like a massive birthday party.
Oh shit, that's right.
It's not that close to my actual birthday, but it's around the holidays, and my birthday falls too close to a proper holiday, so it's kind of be like, yeah, it's a birthday party, but it's several weeks off, and so I'm sure I will do some things there. But after that, I think I can chill out, enjoy the holidays, rest, and I don't know, like focus on like going skiing and other stuff and get out of partying a little bit. Cause I've noticed I've definitely been getting like drawn into like the party scene. Like I've found the scene that I like and now I'm getting more drawn into it. And that's a strange feeling because I haven't felt like that since I was in college and I like that scene. And then I got out of it and I realized that I just don't really fuck with like bars that much. I don't really fuck with nightclubs that much, but now I found the vibes that I like. And unfortunately those vibes happen between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. That's
Hey man,
that's
it's
upsetting.
a dangerous dangerous
So I
game.
totally understand.
It's a dangerous game, man. Get pulled in, but don't
It's a
get
tough.
lost. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I'm good and I feel very confident in myself. I know I'm a reasonable person and I definitely have a lot of other things going. Like I've been running for several months and I'm just like really fucking into running. Like I look forward to my runs so much. I'm like going to try to run a marathon in a couple months and I don't know, like that's something I'm really excited for. And I'm feeling like aside from the partying and lack of sleep, like physically very good. Honestly, I feel like I've been doing a better job with some of the like relationships and like friendships specifically in my life. And it's been good. I don't think I'm getting lost, but
there you
it's
go.
definitely something I'm thinking about. And I tend to be an overanalyzer. So like I also like can afford to just like, it's chill. It's all good.
There you go, man. Love that.
I realized, yeah, like the better you know yourself, the better prepared you are for like basically anything. Because in a lot of cases, right, like if you're walking into a new situation, you don't know what to expect. You can only guess how you would react. And obviously there's also context of like how you're feeling that day and if you're on anything and whatever. But I think I'm getting a better grasp of like what I'm into and who I am and how I tend to act and what I like and dislike. And I think that is helping me live a more like intentional and targeted life. And the last few months have felt very, very productive in that way.
Dude, I love that, man. Do you feel like psychedelics have helped you kind of reflect a little bit and establish a little bit more of what you like, or at least understand yourself better?
I think weirdly, this phase has been less drug fueled. I think it's been more fueled by honestly like Burning Man was, to be honest, like the starting point of it. And that kind of led me more into this like interesting like spirituality vibe that I'm kind of on. And then I think second to that is just like just really falling in love with like music. And I don't know, feeling like that's something that I really vibe with and I want to do something with down the road. And then no, you know what? To sum it up, it's just like community, like meeting the right community and the right people.
It's a good way to put it.
Who've really introduced me to, I think, like new ways of living and working and like thinking about things. And I think I've learned a lot from those people. And a lot of these conversations and experiences do tend to happen in drug related states where I might be on psychedelics, I might be on ketamine, 2C, whatever. But if anything, like those substances just like enhance my proclivity to like take in those conversations and actually feel like I'm learning lessons from them. And I do really appreciate them for their way to do that. And in so many ways, it is like therapy, right? Like
it is, man.
The reason why things like ketamine or MDMA therapy work is because it just makes you have that higher proclivity to like understand and just think like critically about yourself from a more objective place and just like more understanding and empathetic of things. And I do think it can take a lot of empathy like inwards, especially just like work through things if you're struggling with stuff or anything. I think, applying those same principles to even just like figuring out, like how you want to live your life and doing that with intent is really special.
I love that, man. That's awesome. Proud of you, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And the more I learn, the more I realize I'm at level like 0.01. Like there's so much more growth. And, it's like the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know. But it's exciting. It's like, I think for the first time in a while, I have this sense that like life is too short to accomplish everything that I want to do. And I'll be honest, like in the last year or two, I haven't felt like life is too short. Obviously, it helps being like pretty young. And to be honest, I have virtually everything that I want in my life at this point. Like I don't really need more money. I don't really need more of X. Like I am already doing a good job of living my dream life. And I have the rest of my life to do that. And I'm like, oh, dude, I have so much time to like explore everything and do what I want. But like now I feel like I'm getting into these journeys that are very much these like lifelong, long-term self-discovery types of journeys. And I'm like, damn, okay, like these could take like lifetimes to get through and to like master these
That's
things.
The prestige shit, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And so definitely things I've been thinking about a lot and trying to, it's just like upscale and up level yourself. And there's always like a higher level, but you should never be paying too much attention to like what someone else's level is. It's just like to you. I think it's just continuously learning like what is your idea of living like your best life. And that will look very different for me than it will from you or for anyone else. And that's where like therein lies the challenge, is like figuring out like what do you want out of life? What is the next level for you? And that's just, one day and 1 week at a time trip.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to get all existential on y'all. This is a very wandering podcast. If you guys enjoyed it or hated it, let us know. We can either do more or less of this type of content. But I thank you for listening, Reggie. I appreciate it. I was looking forward to sharing these thoughts with you, and I hope you were able to take some things away from me.
Yeah, definitely, man. I do appreciate it. And I'm proud of you, bro. It's also making me think about my own journey as well. So looking forward to see where things go.
Dude, likewise, man. All right, guys. Let's wrap there.
And that's the pod.
Truly, thank you for listening to the show. We seriously fucking appreciate it. If you want to help us out, just leaving a rating or a comment, the drill, would be incredibly helpful. But more importantly, share the knowledge and the love with your friends. make sure they're getting the information they need on this topic that is so underserved and underappreciated in today's society. We'll see y'all next week.